All kids out of the pool for Adult Swim. All kids out.
Parents strongly caution the following programs are intended for mature audiences over the age of 18. These programs may contain some material that many parents would not find suitable for children and may include intense violence, sexual situations, coarse language, and suggestive dialogue.
It's another late night, and it is time for everyone's favorite programming block, Adult Swim. A raunchy oasis in a sea of cartoon censorship. Hanna-Barbera, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, all hotbeds of fledgling televised animation, platforming experimental shows and new creators. Think what you will of Time Warner. Oh boy, are there some thoughts I have thunk. But despite the flippant way they treat their IPs and studios now, they really did genuinely used to let creations flourish under them. And Adult Swim was one of broadcast television's best blocks. In general, adult animation is probably my favorite type of media, from Solar Opposites to Rick and Morty, Futurama to Disenchantment, American Dad, Smiling Friends, The Simpsons, etc., etc. This is seriously my comfort genre. Sex, violence, and the exploration of culture found in spades in these shows. They're absurd, surreal, aesthetically very subversive. Life is full of variety, and I love it when my media reflects that. And to celebrate said love, I'm going to take my time to make some fakemon based on Adult Swim shows. I'll also be trying my best to tie them into my fakemon region set in the US South. Thankfully, many of these shows are almost painfully American, so it should be pretty easy. Just this last year, I watched Orel, and I loved every minute. It's a dark psychological comedy about a naive boy navigating the confusing and often contradictory messaging found in religious teachings. It largely deals with themes of religious trauma and the ways that it impacts the individuals, the family, and the community around them. I spent a long time this year trying to figure out how to tie religious belief into my region. It's impossible to properly represent the South without bringing up church. My current state of residence, Tennessee, has one church per 500 people. That's solidly well over 1,000 churches per county. There are like 5 or 6 churches within a mile of my home right now. They are everywhere. And unless you're from a country that also has a church around every corner, I'm not sure you can fathom just how many churches we have in the South. But all the way back down to the Romans, the Inquisition, Manifest Destiny, representing Christianity is complicated. And I also want to avoid having recognizable symbols like a cross or a Bible. So instead, I'm going to reference little fairy tales, myths, legends, meant to teach children about lying or being out at night too late or stuff like that. I immediately was thinking sheep. You've got the whole shepherd and flock imagery, but I hesitated. 1, negative sheeple connotations, and 2, a little too straightforward for my taste. So instead, I just shifted a little, made it a goat. Another animal regularly referenced in biblical teachings. A nice thing about rams and goats is that they're farm animals, and there are numerous farm animals in stories and nursery rhymes meant to teach morals and lessons. And thinking of that, I even put little pants on it. Makes it a little well-dressed animal ready for service. Also, can't be too lewd. Ugh, just imagine it. Imagine a naked animal. Disgusting. Immoral. Meet nurseram. Nursery, ram, nursery rhyme. Nurseram. Nurseram are sweet little creatures who are amazing listeners and extremely empathetic. Watch what you say around these little guys, though, because they will remember nearly everything, and they take it to heart. Rick and Morty is a show that needs little introduction. Right behind Family Guy, The Simpsons, and South Park, it's probably the most well-known and well-loved adult animation. It's a wonderfully exploratory sci-fi sitcom following Rick, mad scientist, and Morty his grandson. The perfect zany background noise while I work on art or play video games. And I found my idea pretty quickly. I thought it would be great to combine Rick with a Tribble. Tribbles are fictional aliens from Star Trek. They're these little puffballs that reproduce at an alarming rate. They appear frequently throughout the series, and despite being cute and ultimately harmless, they always manage to be a massive problem. Largely, I like that it's a big puffball of hair. I think Rick's hair is his most iconic trait. It ties him into Einstein, which is the closest I'm going to get to tying this into America. He wasn't exactly American, but he did move here, so, good enough for me. And in reference to how Tribbles wildly multiply, there are a near uncountable amount of these creatures. But instead of multiplying, it's actually the same creature from different dimensions. Like how Rick has mastered interdimensional travel, this creature has an innate sense of space-time dimensionality. Meet... Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna stick with this name, but I'm thinking Mort Rickble, Mort Trouble, in reference to how they name their titles in these convoluted ways. And More Tribbles, More Trouble, the title of one of their reoccurrences on Star Trek. While initially thought to be breeding rapidly, it actually turns out that there's only ever been one critter. These mischievous creatures gather together from the interdimensional plane and cause chaos and destruction. For the evolution, I don't really have too much to explain. I just really leaned into that mad scientist theme. I'm thinking Gossamer, I'm thinking Frankenstein, well, or at least his monster, and I'm incorporating that brain into a jar trope and adorning it with techie lines since Rick is a cyborg. The idea is that the Tribbles realize their unmatched power of their combined intellect. I think it fits nicely into the themes of Rick and Morty because I believe one of Rick's biggest lessons is realizing how much he needs others, even if, in this case, the others are ultimately himself. Meet Demeinstein. Dimension, Einstein, Frankenstein. This creature is comprised of dozens of autonomous, free-thinking beings. They use their combined mental abilities to travel across the multiverse cosmos. They also have a knack for altering the world and beings around them. A surreal comedy starring sentient anthropomorphic food. Master Shake, Frylock, and Meatwad spend the show encountering aliens, demons, cybernetic ghosts of Christmas past from the future, alongside their absolutely fucked up neighbor, Carl. A wacky, zany, wild-ass show, and a great thing to have on in the background when you're high at 2 a.m. And we all know that there's nothing more American than overly processed, prepackaged foods. And with the recent bad press that certain Lunchable-like products have been getting right now, I think it's a great time to make this. I'm making a creature that's like a box of a mutated glob of food. Like Meatwad, it doesn't really have a consistent form. It'll be able to be split and smushed around into different shapes. A simple little smile and some bits of peppers and veggie flakes, and it's ready to climb onto your plate and into your heart. It's a pretty straightforward concept. Initially, I was going to add in Master Straw's like Shake as a tail and Frylock's fries as claws, but it muddied the design, and I wanted to keep it simple. Meet Pudge Sludge. This foul little pile of goop just wants to fulfill its purpose and end up in your bowl. Too bad it's barely edible. While not exactly poisonous, it somehow manages to taste like everything at once. I am also making this one of my new food types. Robot chicken. Well, frankly, painfully unfunny show. I don't know. If you asked me, the show is just plain mean. And like, 75% of the jokes are just wanton violence and sexism. It's just not very funny. But I think it's a great foundation for a fakemon I want to make. As a sketch comedy show, I quickly associated it with media consumption in general, especially with how shallow they make their interpretations of these properties. It seems crudely chewed up and spit out, which is how I'm connecting it to another fakemon that I've made. Earlier this year, I made a few fakemon based off FNAF characters, and Chicklet, the ultimate consumer, has added media onto the menu. Movies, shorts, shows, clips, memes, and more. This little critter is here to see it all and taste it all in a hedonistic binge. Funny enough, I realized this while practicing chicken shapes. Chickens really are just dinosaurs. I mean, so are all birds. But I leaned into this just a little bit. Turning the head into an old fatback TV evokes that kind of dino head shape, makes it look old, it's old tech. And it gives me a little bit of room to make a beak out of that heart monitor-like line on a screen. A color bar bib then completes the look. Meet Henge, from hen, benge, and henge, like a hinged jaw. As a recent breed of a long domesticated animal, Henge are perfectly bred to seamlessly slide into your life. They're extremely entertaining critters, and they always know the perfect show to watch with a meal. So if you enjoyed the creatures and enjoyed the video, I've got more across the channel if you want to help a brother out. I've got a Patreon. I recently adopted a family of cats from under my deck, and they may be cute, but them bitches is expensive. And I am on that DoorDash grind, and I'm 100K in student loan debt. So if you slide a little my way, it's much appreciated. If not, I understand. Watching all the way till here helps more than you know. I'll be uploading the first section of my next view as a little preview. I'm working hard at getting videos out quicker. Love you. Bye.